Global Action Award. And just so folks know, we are recording. So we're just going to be keeping the activity so that we can share that with other girls who weren't able to join us today. So that's just something I wanted to share. Excellent. So we're working on the Global Action Award for gender equality today. So we'll get into more of what that is. But first, so just some introductions. My name is Elena. I work with the Girl Scouts of Wisconsin Badgerland. I'm based in Madison, Wisconsin, which is our capital. I am joined today by Tabitha. You can see her with the other green background. Tabitha will be making sure everybody's, getting to share and helping out with the chat log as well. So if you want to kind of catch our attention, you can catch hers as well as mine. And then if you'd like to speak, if you can raise your hand, or there's a feature in Zoom, which is what we're using to broadcast, where you can virtually raise your hand. So if you don't want to keep your hand up, you can use that as well. And then, so we have everybody muted. So that means that we aren't able to hear sounds for everyone right away, but we're able to unmute people. And we'll let you know when we're going to unmute you for something that you want to share. If you don't want to share, that's okay. You can use the chat log or whatever works for you. Yep, exactly like this. So thanks for those who are just using the chat. We practiced with that a little bit earlier with our first introduction too. And then I just ask that when folks are talking, just trying to be respectful, paying attention, listening when you can, and just being attentive with the group. I know it's a little tough when we're all in different spaces, but we're all here together now. All right, and then we'll get started with the Girl Scout Promise. So if folks want to stand or find their hand in the appropriate way. So right hand. All right, and everybody can do this in their own space. So on my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law. It's okay if we finish a little after that. I know I always do too. It's kind of funny when you're doing it on video, but yeah, absolutely. Well, so great to have all of you here with us. So we're going to talk a little bit about gender equality and a little bit about the Global Action Award. So the Global Action Award is different every year, and it focuses on a different big goal, really big. So gender equality is huge. It's a very big thing, and it affects the whole world. So it's not just, in our community, in our country, in our state. It's really all over the world that it's this goal that we share. So gender equality is one of the goals that is thought of as sustainable for development, meaning that it will improve living conditions, so how we live every day, without making future living conditions worse. It'll make them better in the future. So something that one can think of if you're thinking, oh, it'd be great if we had a ton of food. Everybody, there's always food growing. But perhaps in the future, there wouldn't be enough food. So it's thinking about how things are today and also how they can be for tomorrow. So making sure that we still have the things that we need in the future, and we're able to make do with what we have today. So yeah, and then one thing just is that, so the goal is for gender equality and to empower all women and girls. So one thing that I always think of is just like a funny thing where it's like, how do you feel empowered? Like, what does it mean to be empowered? Does anybody have an idea? No? I see some shaking of heads. That's okay. Yeah. Anybody want to put anything in the chat log? You can certainly do that as well. Ooh, I like the answer. We got an answer of to help others. Yeah, I think to empower is to help them, to be strong as you are, hopefully in the right way. That's a great point. Yeah, where you can help somebody, but maybe it's not how they want help. Maybe it's help that will help them today, but tomorrow they're going to be in the same place. Oh, sure. Being grateful. Yeah. So being grateful for what you have and confident in what you have. Sure. Yeah, great thoughts. Hopefully that gets folks thinking a little bit too. So empowering is not just, giving something to someone, but maybe pushing them to find those things themselves, or giving them resources so that they can do that. Yeah. Being confident. Sure. In charge of myself. Ooh, I like that too. So empowering that you can make decisions, because sometimes, if somebody else makes decisions for you, it doesn't feel very empowering, right? Because who thinks like getting to pick out your own clothes is empowering? Anybody? I know I do. I really like it. I get to decide what I want to wear, what I do. Yeah. Make good choices for others. That's a good thought. Yeah. Excellent. Well, I'm so glad to hear folks chiming in. Hopefully you're thinking of some other stuff too. But yeah, and it's something where it's great to be empowered and for other people to be empowered, because then that can lift a lot of people up. So if a lot of people aren't empowered, or they don't have a lot of power for them over themselves, that can affect other people or people in their lives. And it's something where we want to bring everybody up and have the similar opportunities. So yeah, taking charge. I like that too. Yeah, that's definitely part of empowering. Thanks for sharing. So we'll move on to another one. So one thing to also think about is gender equality. What does that exactly look like? So I have a couple of questions, and we'll do a bit of raising hands, and then I might say, okay, put your hand down if you don't think this. So my first question is, can both boys and girls wear whatever they want? Raise your hand if you think so. Or I see some chat logs, that also works. See some hands, yeah. So girls can wear pants and boys can wear skirts, right? Seeing some yeses. Do you think that happens? Do you think that boys usually wear skirts and girls usually wear pants, or maybe there's one or the other? See some hands though? Yeah. Yeah, so that's one other thing to think about, where they can, but do you see it a lot? It's kind of similar to what you experience. So that can be different for everybody, of course. And then can both boys and girls go to school and get an education? See some thumbs up as well. Nice way to use that. Yep, I see lots of nods. And do you have boys and girls in your classes? Yeah. All right. And then can both girls and boys be leaders at school and at work? Some thumbs up as well. And one thing to think about then is, are they? So do you see a lot of, teachers or principals or bosses who are both boys and girls, or men and women? See some thumbs up. Yeah. Yeah. And then another question is, are both boys and girls able to go to the doctor when they're sick and get help? Yeah. Yeah. And then can both boys and girls play the same sport? See some, yes. Yeah, they can. They can. But do we see it all the time? Do we see a lot of girls playing football? Yeah, I see some nods. That's cool. I see some no. Yeah, I see some no's. Yeah, so that's something where, there isn't anything that a woman or a girl can't play football, but maybe there's not a team that's open to having girls. Or maybe there could be. It's one of those things where just because it isn't what you see right now, oops, somebody plays football in their yard, exactly. If you really want to do that, maybe that's something that you can continue doing that if that's something you like to do. So one of those things to think about, and that can kind of let us know a little bit about gender equality when we think about, yes, boys and girls can do the same things. The next thing to think about is, do they? So I saw somebody put that boys, don't wear skirts, but they can. So it's just what people actually do in order to see a little bit more of what is possible and what people actually do. So thank you for all answering in. I liked all the thumbs up, and the chat log was cool to see everything popping up as the new questions came in. Yeah, so it's something where if we can say yes to all of these things and more, actually, there are a lot more parts to gender equality, then we're getting close. We're getting there a little bit more. So there are a lot of things that come into play when we talk about boys and girls being on the same level and treated the same way. So I think one thing that somebody called out was that, boys and girls can play the same sports on separate teams. That's something to think about, where they can be doing the same things, but then we don't have, the same equality if maybe girls aren't, for professional athletes, if they're not being paid the same amount. So does anybody watch soccer? Anybody like soccer? See some hands? Yeah. So there's the women. Yeah, I see. Yes, enthusiastically. Well, there's the national team, so women who represent the United States, and there's also a men's team that represents the United States. The men get paid more than what the women get paid. Does that seem fair? They're both playing soccer, right? Yeah. So it's something to think about, where, they can do the same things, but are they recognized in the same way? It doesn't seem like it. But they're a good team, so everybody should check them out if they can. Yeah, so that's something we'll talk a little bit more about as we get going. But our first activity, so we're going to do some drawing, and if somebody asks, what are we going to draw? This is where we're going to draw. So if you can take your sheet of paper that you have and fold it into 8 squares. And you can fold it any way that works for you. I took it that I folded it in half the hamburger way, as I was brought up to understand. And then I folded that in half again. And then I folded it another time. So once you have 8 squares on your paper, you can also just draw it with a pencil. You want this many. And if you want, you can also label each square 1 through 8. All right, so what we're gonna do, and I'll let everybody take a few seconds. I know it can take a little bit to get that all ready, but what we'll do is I will share a job. Yep, we're gonna wait. I'm just gonna describe a little bit of what we're gonna do, so feel free to take your time. So I will share a job. So a name of a job, I hope everybody's familiar with, but you're welcome to use the chat log to let me know if it's something that you need a little bit more description, if it's not clear. And you'll draw someone with that job in one of your squares. It's okay if it goes in a different order, if you go up, down, whatever works for you. And at the end, you should have 8 separate drawings, and we'll talk about them at the end. I do see, yep, getting set up. And the thing is, we'll have 30 seconds to draw. So 30 seconds for each drawing. I saw some faces of, what, that's not enough time. It'll be quick, but we'll have 4 minutes of drawing then. All right, so if I can get some thumbs up, folks ready to go? Excellent. All right, I'm gonna keep track of time, and I'll put the first one on, and then I'll start the timer. And everybody can see my screen still, right? Awesome. All right, the first one is gonna be a firefighter. So draw a picture of a firefighter. All right, that is 30 seconds. It goes so fast, I know. It's okay if it's not the most detailed thing ever. That's totally okay. All right, we're gonna get ready and head into the second one. That'll start in 3, in 2, and 1. A nurse. Draw a picture of a nurse.
Remember, don't stress out too much. Doesn't have to be perfect. You just have 30 seconds, so just something quick.
Yes, thank you, Tabitha. All right, 30 seconds down. We're getting ready for the next one. So take a second. If you got to shake out your cramping hand, that's okay. Keep those fingers loose. A doctor is the next one. All right. I think that's about 30 seconds. I forgot to hit the timer. Does that seem right? Have enough time to get something down? All right. And the next one, a scientist. I started my clock this time. So 30 seconds to draw a scientist. All right, 30 seconds down. And the next one is a dancer. A dancer. All right, I think that's about 30 seconds. I need to get better at my time tracking. All right, we'll move to the next one. And that one is a pilot. A pilot. All right. And the next one, we have two more. All right, next one starting now, a judge. And if you're not quite sure, that's okay. That's okay. Some of these are a little, I haven't really had a lot of occasion to meet a judge. All right, the next one, last one coming up is a superhero, because it's totally a job. Superhero, your last one. Almost there. All right, 30 seconds down. Whew, we made it. Nice work. Everybody get some stretches in your hands, right? Crack some fingers maybe, so that can be fun. Awesome. Did anybody want to hold up their pictures? Nice. I love the variety of, oh, that's totally okay if you don't want to share. I like the variety of stick figures. That's my specialty. Looks good. Got some different detail, different colors. Nice. Awesome. Cool. Thanks for sharing. And those who didn't want to share, that's totally okay. Cool. Nice job. 30 seconds is very quick. So I like that everybody rose to the occasion and did some great work. Awesome. So some questions that just to ask about what you drew is, were there any that you drew as men or women? Or were they kind of just as they were? Did your stick figures, were they boys or girls, or anybody find that they drew them? Oh, I see some both. A few. Yep, so both boys and girls. Yeah, so I'm seeing a lot of both. So I guess one question I have, for those who drew their nurses, were their nurses boys or girls? Okay. Yeah, so I see girls. Somebody said girls. Somebody had also shared the doctor and pilot were boys, the rest were girls. Yeah. So one of them was a boy, 7 were girls. The nurse was a girl. Some folks said boys though. Yeah, so it's interesting because I know that one question I'll ask is, for your scientist, was your scientist a man or a woman? I see women. Scientist, a girl. Woman. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm seeing a lot of women, which is awesome. Scientist, girl. Superhero, girl. I like it. Nice. Scientist was a boy. Yeah, it was something where I did this at one point when I was 19. So pretty old, right? And I did it in a class and everybody drew a man. So it was something where, everybody kind of thought that's what they were drawing. They drew somebody in a white lab coat, and their scientist was kind of just a man. So it's interesting. I like that a lot of folks had girls. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. If it's a stick figure, sometimes they don't really have a picked out gender. So that's definitely a good point. With depending on how much detail there can be, maybe that's something that's included or isn't included. Yeah. And then, so I guess the next question is, for the ones that you drew as women, could a man also do that job? So for those who drew a male doctor, a woman could be a doctor, right? Yep, I'm seeing some yeses. Thanks for sharing there. Some thumbs up as well. Yeah. And I guess one question is, who here drew their doctor as a woman? So if you can raise your hand. Oh, I see my dad is a nurse. Cool. Yeah, so for those who raised their hand that they drew a woman doctor, do you keep your hand raised if you have a woman doctor? If you go see a doctor who's a woman? Yeah, so I'm seeing a lot of raised hands, and yep, my pediatrician is a doctor. My mom is a doctor. Awesome. Yeah, so it can be also what we draw or what we recognize is based on what we see. So if we see, women as doctors, we're more likely probably to associate being a doctor and women being doctors. So yeah, seeing some interested faces. Yeah, thanks for sharing, everybody, some of your thoughts. And then for the ones that you drew as men, could a woman also do that job? So I think I noticed that there was at least one pilot who was drawn as a boy or a man. Could a woman be a pilot? Seeing some yeses, some nods. Yeah, so it's interesting to look at it from both ways, right? Where, there are some things where we might associate, with being a profession that's usually with, women, but also professions that could be usually with men. So it kind of comes both ways. Yeah, thanks everybody for sharing. So we're gonna do one more drawing in this part here. And in this one, we're gonna have 2 minutes. So it's gonna feel like so much time. So if you want, you can flip your page over and we're gonna take 2 minutes to draw one of your roles as both men and women. So you can take your time adding details, and then we'll come back together and talk a little bit more about what those look like. All right, so setting the clock for 2 minutes. If you want to start doing that now. So we have 2 minutes to pick one of the jobs, and I'll actually go back through them quickly so that you can see them if you want to pick one out. Actually, I can just read them off. So we have firefighter, a nurse, a doctor, a scientist, a dancer, a pilot, a judge, and a superhero. So picking one of those, you have still about, a minute and a half or about 2 minutes. And if you finish a little early, maybe add some additional details, maybe where they are, maybe their background similar to what you see outside right now. Maybe it's totally different if you want to draw a sunny sky rather than a rainy day. If you need more time, that's totally okay. We're just approaching that 2 minute mark. All right, so that's about 2 minutes. Did anybody want to hold up their picture and share? Nice, I see 2 judges. See a skater there. Superhero, I see a cape. So that's usually what I go for. Maybe it's a judge, I don't know. Judges kind of wear capes. Cool. See some smiling faces. Superheroes, yep. Yeah, cool. Did anybody want to talk about theirs?
Looks like Hannah had her hand raised.
Yeah, Hannah, did you want to share about your picture? Go ahead.
So, house is on fire like normal, the firefighter does. I had to really quick draw the boy because he looks like, I don't want to be there.
Sure. Cool. Thanks for sharing, Hannah. Did anybody else want to share? I see a hand from Zoe and Liv. I think we'll have time to answer both, but we'll start with think I saw Zoe's hand first. So go ahead, Zoe. I think we unmuted you. Go ahead.
So I do 2 dancers, and I do them as ice skaters because in competitions I do see both male and female ice skaters on the ice.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing also a little bit about what you see. So awesome. And then I see Liv has her hand up. Go ahead, Liv.
I also do 2 dancers. They aren't very good. But like I'm a dancer too. But like I just do like ballet and stuff. And I've seen like boys in like the Nutcracker and like other shows. And like they take lessons.
Cool.
And so do girls. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. That's super cool. I think we have time for one more. I see a few hands, so I'll let Tabitha decide.
No pressure. I'm gonna go with, I happen to see Maddie Knopf first. So Maddie, how about you share?
What I drew is I drew a boy and a girl dancer because I do jazz and my sister does ballet, and sometimes I like watching her do ballet.
No, they're boys sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they're just like sometimes they're boys.
Awesome.
Sometimes there's
Thanks for sharing. Great. Thank you, Maddie. Awesome. So yep, I see a few different hands as well. So we're just trying to make sure we get through everything. So everybody, if you want to put in the comments, and maybe if we still have some time, we can come back to it. We are going until about 3:30 today, and we do have at least 2 more things that we're going to be working on. So we'll just try to make sure we can get to different things. All right. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. And even if you didn't share, I like that everybody had their own experience that they brought to it, right? So folks who are familiar with dance did dance. I know Hannah, oh my gosh, there's a cat in Hannah's screen if anybody wanted to see a cat. They got to share a little bit about, for them, what they know. And I like, the fire and everything. It's really cool. So thank you for those who were able to share in that time, but we can come back if we still have time later. So next, we're going to act out some chores. So this will help us see a little bit of quality in practice. So something that comes up is chores. So who has chores at home that they do? Sometimes, yeah. Some things that you do around the house, maybe to help with the family. Yeah, somebody said a lot. It happens, if you gotta help out. So what we'll do is we're gonna act out different chores, and we're gonna do it pretty quickly. So it'll be about 30 seconds as well. And then afterwards, we're gonna talk about them. So the things that we did. So you can act them out if you don't want to, that's okay. You could also turn off your camera if you just wanna do it in your space and you don't wanna show with anybody else. That's okay too. So we're gonna get started with that, and we'll put the first one on the camera. So make sure you got some space to move around, or if you wanna stay seated, that's okay too. So our first chore is collecting firewood. All right, we got 30 seconds. We gotta collect that firewood. See lots of folks moving around, collecting some writing utensils.
I think Marin's right in front of her fireplace, so she might be actually doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, moving from one place to the next. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see we have a prop. There's a teddy bear that's helping out. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So we're moving to the next one. That's about 30 seconds there. And this next one, we might need to use other props to do. So collecting water. Collecting water is our next one. I like it. Very easy.
Yep. Oh, I see. I love the props. I love it.
Wow.
Oh, that's a big prop, Marin.
Oh, I like the,
Oh, Hannah's got
Got
a
it.
prop too.
oh, yep. Anybody have a well prop in their background? Like pull it up from the.
Shania got a real good prop there. She's actually got her water.
I don't know why, just talking about water makes me thirsty. Awesome. All right. And we'll go to the next one, which is wash clothes by hand.
Ooh.
We see the teddy bear coming back in. Hands moving together. Oh, using the water to wash the clothes. That's good. Yeah. And we got to scrub them together. Oh, bringing it out too. You got to get it dry. You can't just get them wet, right?
Ooh,
Nice.
Ava's got a bowl. She's all in there. That's good.
Nice. All right. We got another two, I think. The next one is cooking dinner. Cooking dinner. So 30 seconds. How do you want to do that? Oh, we got some stirring, some mixing. Oh, we got some plates coming out.
I love it.
Nice.
Oh, Maddie's got her placemats. Yep. I love it.
Nice. Got to maybe rolling out some dough. It's hard to do on screen for that. Maybe making some pizza. Throwing it around.
Hannah's got her apron on. She's prepared.
Whoa. Geez, she's just right next to her kitchen or something, or she's had somebody giving her props. I don't know. I need somebody on standby to help me out with that. Ooh, a fruit roll-up coming out? All right. That sounds like dinner. So he's like, no, it's a snack. It's snack time. Oh, adding water to it? Sure. Sounds like a nutritious meal. All right, one last one. Take care of children. We got some stuff. Oh, pulling stuff out of a stuffed animal. I don't know. We got to feed.
Oh, yep.
Oh, we see some more cats. I have a cat next to me too, but I don't think he'd be a little less happy than Evie's there. Got some
Same.
rocking, some burping, feeding.
Aww.
Yeah. A helmet. Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's great. Thank you all for acting out those different chores. So did everybody recognize those? Like, do those seem like familiar things that you do? Some folks are nodding no. Maybe some of them, maybe not all of them. Do folks have a chore of collecting firewood very often? I see some shaking of heads. But maybe, helping cook dinner is a little bit more familiar. Or how about collecting water? Is collecting water something? Oh, I see some nodding. Some. Yeah, so one thing to think about is that, just comparing, it's a little different maybe from what you do at home, but thinking about what other things you may do. So does anybody help sweep at home? Sweeping, like using a broom sometimes, maybe vacuuming. Is that something anybody else that any does? Or maybe taking care of pets. That can be kind of a chore, right? So helping with cleaning up after the animals or brushing the animals. Yep, I see some folks nodding about pets. So Yeah, those can be fun. Yeah, so, and maybe it's something that somebody else in the house does. So maybe if you have a parent who works on different chores for the house. So somebody has 6 pets, yeah, that could be a lot of chores for sure. Yeah, so one thing about the chores that we just acted out is they're actually the top 5 most common chores for girls around the world. So they're the most common that girls typically do. So even if they're not exactly familiar to you, it's the most common for girls. And actually, in some countries, girls between the ages of 5 and 14 spend almost twice as much time on chores as boys their age do. Does that seem fair? See some shaking heads. Folks that are like, mm-mm. Yeah, so between that age, there are girls who are spending more time doing chores than boys do. Now, I don't know about you, but there are things that I like to do, and they're not always chores, right? Yeah, I see some thumbs down regarding that last fact. I hear you. But the thing about doing chores is sometimes it can take away things that you do for fun, right? So maybe it takes away time from watching TV or going to do something, hanging out with friends. Sometimes you have to finish your chores in order to go hang out with friends. And if you're spending a lot of time doing chores, then you might not get to do it, or maybe you're too tired to do it. You know, so there's something where if you're spending more time doing chores, you know, what might they have to give up? Yeah. And so if it doesn't seem fair, that's kind of where we're starting to see how things can be unequal. So someone says gaming they like to do. That's cool. I like to game too. Yeah, so just she loves gaming. She wanted to clarify. Thank you, Hannah, for updating that. Yes, love gaming.
Same, Hannah. Same.
Yeah, but something to think about is just, you know, where other time is spent and how if, you know, girls are spending more time on chores, there might be other things that they like to do that they don't get to do. Because some common things are going to school. So if a girl has chores that she needs to do that are important for the whole family, maybe she's not able to get to school. Or maybe she's not able to hang out with friends or be involved with other activities at school. So there could be opportunities that she's not able to have. And yes, that's a fair point about no school right now. Yes, it's a little different right now, but it's definitely something to think about, where it's just, you know, not being able to take classes or work with a teacher in different ways. So yeah, but any ideas about how boys and girls can do equal chores? So how can it be more equal maybe, so that, you know, girls aren't doing as many chores as the boys are, or that it's shared? Is anybody familiar with the caper chart? See some nods. So that's something where, you know, different responsibilities are assigned. So everybody kind of takes a turn. That could be one way, right? Another thing to think about is that some of the chores are based on, oh, somebody said a chore chart. Yep, that's also something. Yeah, switch every other day. That's nice. So one day you do something, another day, you know, the other one does. So if you know, that's boys and girls in the same house. But what if there's just a girl in the house? It's kind of hard to switch, right? Maybe there's something else that could be done. So say if she's collecting water, what if she could have water in her house? You know, what if there are ways that it could be easier to get than having to go somewhere else to get it? So definitely some things that we can think about, because, you know, it can seem like this one big thing, or that the issue is here, but maybe it's somewhere else. maybe there are other things that can be done in order to achieve that greater thing. All right, so in the last step, we talked about chores and kind of how they relate to gender equality. So one of the smaller goals for gender equality, kind of this big, vast thing, is to make sure that everyone in a household shares chores equally. So next thing we're going to draw is, how could we do that? What would that look like to make sure that everyone in the household shares chores equally? So take a second, think about that would be, what would that would be? Or maybe if you have a chore chart that you want to draw out and share with the group, that could also be something to share. I wonder if anybody was thinking of Cinderella during this situation and started to draw mice helping. Fortunately, I don't know if we can have that happen. I see some thumbs up. See some comments of everyone would be helping together, helping out. That's a good point. If everybody works together, at a certain time, maybe then it can be done that much quicker. Nice. Yeah, different lists of people. Anybody else want to share what they drew or want to talk about it? Yeah, so I see from Liv, we got names and different chores. So it looks like we have Hannah and Liv raising their hands. Anybody else want to raise their hand to share? All right, if we want to start with Hannah.
I have pets, so I have to make a feeding the pets chart. And so I feed the hedgehog the first day. Then my brother Asher feeds the dog. Then my mom feeds the cats. And then my brother feeds the cats. I feed the dog. And my mom gets the hedgehog, and then I get the cats.
Yeah, so taking it in turns. Yeah, that's definitely a way. Nice. Thanks for sharing. And then it looks like we have Liv to share. Go ahead, Liv.
So my characters that I use, they're like made up names. So like Layla does the dishes, and then John does the laundry, and then like the next day Layla does sweeping and John does dusting, and then the next day Layla and John both do cleaning.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, that's great. So taking it in turn, everybody doing the same chores is nice, right? Because then nobody is like, oh, I'm always the one who does this one thing. It's nice to share that. So, you can do it one day and not do it another day. I know that I have some of those chores where I don't like to do it as much. So I look forward to those times when I can get it out of the way and then have a little bit of time off from that. Looks like we may have a hand up from Addie and Ava. I think we have time for both. So going to start with Ava. So go ahead, Ava.
Okay, so I didn't really draw anything, but the way it works is my mom, so I have schoolwork and my brother doesn't really, but he like plays alone. So what happens is my mom gives us both a chore, like, okay, the dishwasher needs to be clean. So then we like work together for one chore.
That's another way to look at it. If it's, you know, working together on the same thing. Thanks for sharing. And then Addie, if you want to share.
Yes. So I have a cat. He's a kitten, and my big brother has to do it like 1 week. Has to scoop the litter 1 week, and I have to feed it. And then next week I have to scoop the litter, and then my big brother has to feed it. Like
Nice.
that.
Yeah, that's a good point for sure. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, so definitely seeing different ways of doing that, and maybe that's something that if you wanted to share that, or if you know somebody who has, you know, a lot of chores or something to think about for how can things be shared across the household. So, and then just as I mentioned, this is one of 9 smaller goals, so that can help toward gender equality. And I'll just share a few other ones, and maybe that's something that can give you an idea for what you'd want to do, because for your Take Action project. So for the Global Action Award, the last 2 steps are to work on a Take Action project and then carry out that Take Action project. So for some other things that are ways, so smaller goals toward the gender equality. So ending unfair treatment of women and girls because of their gender is one thing. And making sure women and girls have the same opportunity for leadership roles as men and boys. So maybe thinking about how that could happen. So as we talked about making chores more equal, you know, how can we maybe, you know, end unfair treatment? So it could be something of, you know, talking with people when you see it, or having activities. Say, if you notice that girls aren't, you know, doing a certain type of thing in classes. So say, you know, girls aren't as interested in math later as they get older. Maybe there's some sort of action that can keep them interested, or making math fun for girls if it becomes something that doesn't seem as fun. Or say gaming. If gaming is a fun thing and it seems like it's mostly boys who like gaming, maybe there could be a gaming club for girls, and the girls can get together and game together. So there are different ways to think about it, where there are different things you can do to take smaller steps toward this big thing that I think can be overwhelming. But some other ones are, so stopping violence against women and girls. So making sure women and girls are safe and not experiencing, you know, harm. Yeah, some folks are saying, yeah, those are definitely important. So healthcare, so girls being able to go to the doctor, being able to be treated when they're sick, and then technology. It's definitely something that, you know, having access to internet. So we're all able to be here because we're able to have that access. So that can be really important for opportunities. Maybe if, you know, a girl can take classes online, she can work on different projects that give her other opportunities. And I'll share 3 more. So law is making sure that boys and girls are treated the same way in legal cases. Making sure that girls and women can own land, have their own bank account, something where they can be in charge of their own money. Maybe that's something that you really care about, or you know how it's important that, you know, you have your piggy bank and nobody else is coming into it, right? So that can be something. And then ending practices and traditions that hurt girls, and just keeping, girls and women safe in the long run. So definitely lots of things to think about. And I'll also be sharing all of these so that if you want to look over them and one of them was important to you, because we're all going to have different experiences and different ideas of maybe what we think is most important and what we want to work on. And that's something that you can keep in mind when working on your Take Action project or coming up with one that you want to work on. So something to think about is, like, do these smaller goals make the goal of gender equality seem more manageable? Like something that could be achieved? Maybe? I think it helps because it makes it more real to everyday life, right? So if we think about chores, we can see that a little bit more and how we can make things more equal, or seeing things at school. For those, I know it's a strange time right now, but maybe how we remember school or what activities we do there, we can see how that applies, and we can see how it is in our community. So not just, across the world somewhere else where maybe girls don't have the same opportunities, but considering how we can be part of changing things nearby. So one question is, I know that we talked about kind of what chores and different ideas. So do you think you can help take steps towards these smaller goals? Does it seem possible? Somebody's like, I don't know. Maybe. I see a thumbs up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, thanks, definitely. Thanks for sharing, everybody. Definitely something to consider going forward. All right. So just as I mentioned before, I hope that you found something that was interesting to you and maybe something you can work on going forward. We're about at our time. I will follow up with some more materials so you can keep working on this and thinking about it. So all the cards that I shared, as well as the activities that we did, you can take those with you. And then you'll actually have the activities that we did here. So you could also do those with friends later on if you wanted to get together and continue this conversation. So we'll be following up with details there. And so you've completed steps 1 through 3 of 5 for the 2020 Global Action Award. You can let us know if you have other questions. My email is listed here. So if your parent wants to email me, they can certainly do that. But we are at time. I just wanted to say thank you all for joining and participating today, sharing your different stuffed animals, your amazing acting skills. That was really great. I really love to see that, because acting is an art too, right? And super cool drawing. So thank you all for doing that, being such rock stars. Adele, thank you for sharing that. Hope everyone is healthy. Everybody take care. We'll be ending the meeting shortly, but everybody can chime in if they have anything else. But thank you all for being here. Seeing some byes. Thank you. Thank you for coming. You're welcome. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Yes, and thank you, Tabitha, for being here, helping us out. Thanks all. Yes. Yes, good health to everyone. Bye. Great. All right.